The trip's canceled. Just for your kids, babe, my fiancé laughed, from first class with her children. I had paid $3,700 for the entire booking. The next day, they emptied my card, and her mom left a voicemail. Stop being dramatic. This is urgent. I sent a sarcastic gif. Then I made one call. When they got home, a sold sign waited on the lawn. And for the first time in my life, I felt absolutely nothing. My name is Walter. I'm 36. I'm an engineer. And until that week, I thought being dependable was the same thing as being loved. It started at gate C19 with a smile that should have warned me. We were supposed to be flying to Aruba. It was meant to be our reset trip before the wedding. Me, my fiancée Vanessa, her two kids, Lily and Mason, and a week in a beachfront resort I absolutely could not afford, but booked anyway because I was trying to prove something I should never have had to prove. That I could be enough. I had paid for everything. Flights, hotel, airport transfer, upgraded meal package, even those stupid matching passport holders, Vanessa said, would make us look like a real family. $3,700 charged to my card in one grim, hopeful click at 2 a.m. While sitting at my kitchen island, comparing interest rates and convincing myself love required sacrifice, Vanessa had kissed my cheek when I showed her the booking confirmation. You're amazing, she'd said. That should have been enough to make me happy. Instead, I remember feeling relieved. Relief is not romance. Relief is what you feel when you think disaster has been postponed. At the airport, I was juggling everything. Lily had forgotten her stuffed rabbit in the rideshare and started crying. Mason wanted a cinnamon roll and a window seat and attention every 3 seconds. Vanessa floated through security in a cream-colored sweatsuit and oversized sunglasses, like she was being followed by cameras. She never carried anything heavier than her phone. I had the passports, the boarding passes, the backpack full of snacks, the rolling suitcase with the broken wheel, and the sinking feeling that my chest had become permanent luggage. We reached the gate, and that was when she saw the upgrade desk. Vanessa stopped walking. What's that? I looked over. A gate agent was making last-minute, first-class upgrades. Looks like they're filling empty seats, I said. Vanessa tilted her head. Go ask. I laughed because I thought she was joking. She wasn't. Walter, she said, already annoyed. Go ask how much. So I did. Because that's what I did back then. I solved problems. I smoothed things over. I made uncomfortable things disappear with politeness and money. The gate agent tapped at her keyboard and said there were only 3 first-class seats left. Not 4. 3. Vanessa's eyes flicked to the kids, then to me. Then she smiled. Not warmly, not apologetically, the kind of smile people use when they're about to say something cruel and want credit for making it sound light. Well, she said, touching my chest with the tips of her fingers, the trip's canceled. Just for your kids, babe. I frowned. My kids? She laughed. Laughed. Oh my God, you know what I mean. The kids. We're not splitting them up. I stared at her. So what? You 3 sit in first class and I sit alone in economy? She shrugged, like this was the obvious solution. It's only one flight. The gate agent looked down at her screen so hard, I could tell she wanted no part of what was happening. Lily was already bouncing. Mom, what's first class? Bigger seats, baby, Vanessa said, smoothing her daughter's hair. And better snacks. Mason pumped both fists. Yes. I kept waiting for Vanessa to look at me and say, I'm kidding. Of course we're not doing that. Instead, she leaned closer and lowered her voice. Don't make this weird. I actually felt heat rise behind my eyes, which embarrassed me more than anything. I paid for this whole trip. And we appreciate it, she said, in that tone people use with difficult strangers and emotional toddlers. But why are you acting like this? They're children. They're your children. Her face changed instantly. Harder. Sharper. They're going to be your children too when we're married. That line had worked on me before. It was one of her favorites. Any boundary I tried to set, any concern about money, any hesitation about how quickly I was being folded into responsibilities I had never agreed to, she'd frame it as proof that I wasn't committed enough. I should have walked away then. Instead, I stood there while she handed over my card, the same card I'd used to pay for the trip, and told the gate agent, "Go ahead." I didn't even stop it. That's the part I hate admitting. I froze. I let humiliation happen to me in real time because some part of me still believed a good man was patient, flexible, understanding. A good man absorbed damage quietly. The boarding announcement came 10 minutes later. Vanessa and the kids were called first. She gave me a little smile over her shoulder as she walked down the jet bridge. "Don't brood, Walter. We'll switch later." She never did. From seat 3A, she sent me a selfie once we were in the air. Her legs crossed, champagne flute in hand, Lily grinning beside her, Mason buried in a blanket. Family upgrade, low. I looked at the message for a long time. Then I turned off my phone and stared at the seat back in front of me for 4 hours, with my knees jammed against the tray table, and the sensation deep in my bones that I was not traveling toward a vacation. I was traveling toward clarity. The trip itself was worse. At the resort, Vanessa acted like she had paid for everything. She booked massages to the room and signed them to the suite. She ordered the premium seafood platter because the kids deserve nice experiences. She bought Lily a beach bag from the resort boutique for $160 and told me not to be cheap when I raised an eyebrow. At dinner, the second night, she posted photos captioned, "Much needed family getaway. Blessed." No mention of me. In one photo, I was visible only as a reflection in a window behind them, carrying 3 plates. By the 4th day, I'd become the unpaid assistant on a trip I funded. I watched the kids in the pool while Vanessa took content photos on the beach. I carried everyone's towels. I chased Mason when he spilled soda in the lobby gift shop. I listened to Vanessa complain that I looked tense in all the pictures. "What do you want from this trip?" I asked her one night on the balcony after the kids were asleep. She was filing her nails under the lamp. "Relaxation. I mean, from us." She didn't look up. "Why do you always do this?" Do what? Turn everything into some deep emotional interrogation. I leaned against the railing and looked out at the dark water. "Because I feel like an ATM with a carry-on." That got her attention. She set the nail file down slowly. "Wow. Tell me I'm wrong." "You are wrong," she snapped. "You're being resentful because I have children, and your life is more convenient than mine." "That's not what I said." "It's what you meant." "No. What I meant was, I paid for this trip, and somehow I'm still the least considered person on it." She stood up. "You know what your problem is? You keep score. And your problem is, you spend like I print money in the garage." That was the first time she looked genuinely furious. "I am so sick of you acting like helping us is charity. Helping us, not building a life together, not sharing responsibility. Helping us as if she and the kids were one unit, and I was an external resource that should be grateful for access." I went quiet after that, not because the fight was over, because something inside me had started arranging the facts. When we got back, I drove us home from the airport in silence. Vanessa kept making little comments from the passenger seat. "Can you stop at Target? We need milk." "Lily needs poster board tomorrow." "Mason's tablet charger is in your suitcase." Not one word about the argument. Not one word about the money. Not one apology. At the house, I hauled in the luggage while she took the kids inside. Now, when I say the house, I mean my house. That distinction matters. I bought that 3-bedroom place 6 years earlier, before I met Vanessa, when life was still numbers and steel-toe boots and long shifts at a manufacturing plant outside Columbus. I'm a mechanical engineer. I design systems for industrial equipment, conveyor layouts, thermal components, failure analysis, all the glamorous stuff that makes people's eyes glaze over at parties. The pay is good, the hours are ugly. And for years, I poured every spare dollar into that house because owning something solid mattered to me. I had refinished the floors myself, replaced the water heater, built the deck with my brother one summer in 90-degree heat. There were still pencil marks in the garage from where I'd measured shelves. It was mine in every way that counts. Vanessa moved in 18 months after we started dating. At first, it was supposed to be temporary. Then it became assumed. Then it became history rewritten, so confidently that even I started second-guessing myself. She would say things like, Our house needs a softer couch. Or, we should knock out that wall someday. Or, my kids need stability. Somewhere along the line, my home stopped being a fact and became a resource pool. The next morning was a Saturday. I woke up at 8:14 to 3 bank alerts. I remember the exact time because I looked at the screen once, dismissed it as spam, then saw the amount. $612.43, $489.17, $931.08, all within 10 minutes. My stomach dropped so hard, it felt physical. I opened the banking app and felt the blood drain from my face. There were more charges pending. A children's clothing site, a furniture rental service, 2 grocery delivery orders, a payment to some dance studio I'd never heard of, a utility deposit. Vanessa was in the shower. I could hear the water running. I walked into the kitchen barefoot, opened my laptop, and started scrolling. My hands were shaking so badly I mistyped my password twice. Available balance, nearly wiped. She had saved my card to multiple accounts. I stood there in the silent kitchen with the coffee machine blinking 8:19 and understood in one cold, beautiful instant that this wasn't impulsive overspending. This was extraction. The shower shut off upstairs. I heard Vanessa humming. Then my phone buzzed again. Unknown number, voicemail. I played it on speaker because I genuinely thought maybe it was fraud prevention. Instead, I heard her mother, Denise, smoky voice, irritated, entitled. Walter, stop being dramatic. This is urgent. Vanessa told me you're freaking out over some temporary charges. The kids need clothes for school, okay? She needed to handle some things because you've been weird and withholding lately. Call her back and act like an adult. I stood there, staring at the counter. Then, for reasons I still find hilarious, I opened my messages, searched shrug GIF, and sent Vanessa a looping animation of a raccoon slowly putting on sunglasses. That was it. No accusation, no yelling. No, we need to talk, just the GIF. Then I called my bank. I froze every card, reported the unauthorized transactions, changed passwords, moved what remained in my checking account to a different institution I'd kept for emergency savings. The fraud department flagged the charges. They told me the investigation would take time, but the card was dead effective immediately. By the time Vanessa came downstairs, in one of my old t-shirts, toweling her hair, my financial life was no longer available to her. She frowned at me. Did you send me a raccoon? Yes. What does that even mean? I looked up from my laptop. It means I listened to your mom's voicemail. Color rose in her cheeks. Oh my God, she shouldn't have called you. She shouldn't have had a reason. Vanessa set the towel down. Walter, those charges were for the house. For your life. For our life. I almost laughed. No, don't do that. Do what? Use the word our when you mean access. Her jaw tightened. You are seriously spiraling over this. No. Vanessa, spiraling was gate C19. This is accounting. She folded her arms. The kids needed things. With my card, you said we were a family. I nodded once, and that sentence has cost me a fortune. That was when the mask slipped. Not fully, but enough. She stepped closer, voice colder now. You know what? Fine. If you're going to be petty about money, maybe you're not ready to marry a woman with children. Maybe not, I said. She stared at me, waiting for me to correct myself. I didn't. The room went very quiet. Lily was watching cartoons in the den. Mason was somewhere upstairs, talking to himself. The washing machine thudded in the laundry room. Outside, a mower droned down the block. Vanessa squinted at me like she was seeing me from a different angle for the first time. What is that supposed to mean? It means, I said carefully, that I'm done being treated like a financing option with a pulse. She actually scoffed. You're unbelievable. No, I said. I've been very believable. That's the problem. She stormed upstairs. An hour later, she left with the kids to cool off at her mother's. Before driving away, she stood at the front door and gave me one last warning. Don't do anything stupid, Walter. I watched her buckle Mason into the back seat, start the SUV I'd helped repair last winter, and peel out of my driveway like she was the one who'd been wronged. Then I made one call. Actually, that's not true. I made three. First, to my attorney. Second, to a real estate agent named Priya, who had been sending me market updates for months because I'd idly asked what my house might sell for in the current market. Third, to my friend Nate, who owed me exactly one reckless favor after I helped him through a divorce so ugly it made mine to be look civilized. By noon, I had a plan. By 3, I had documents. By evening, I had peace. Here's the part people always ask me about later. How did you sell a house that fast? I didn't magically close in 24 hours, but I did something just as effective. I listed it aggressively as is, accepted a cash offer from an investor Priya had worked with before, signed the preliminary sale agreement electronically, and authorized the installation of the pending sale signage the next day. The legal side was locked down enough that no one with any sense would mistake my intention. The point wasn't theater. The point was signal. I was not threatening change. I was initiating it. While Priya handled paperwork, I walked through the house room by room. Not mourning, inventorying. The master bedroom, where Vanessa had started calling one side of the closet hers after 6 weeks. The hallway where Mason once drew on the wall with blue marker, and Vanessa laughed because kids are creative. The pantry full of snacks I bought but wasn't supposed to mention. The backyard where Lily told her friend on speakerphone, "We live in this really nice house now." Now. Not together, not always. Now, I packed my clothes, my work files, my tools, my grandmother's watch, my drafting notebooks. The framed photo of my dad in front of the first car he restored, and the coffee mug shaped like a bolt that one of my interns had given me last Christmas. I left the sectional Vanessa picked, the decorative ladder with blankets on it, the giant letterboard in the kitchen that said, "Home is where love grows," in white plastic letters. I almost changed it to "Home is where fraud occurs," but that felt like effort. By Sunday afternoon, I was in a furnished short-term rental across town with 2 duffel bags, a toolbox, my laptop, and the kind of silence rich people probably pay for in spas. At 5:42 p.m., Vanessa texted, "Can we come home now? Mom is being impossible." I looked at the message for a full minute. Then I replied, "Depends what you mean by home." 3 dots appeared, disappeared, reappeared. What does that mean? I did not answer. At 6:08, she called. I let it ring out. At 6:11, Denise called. Declined. At 6:14, I got a text from Denise. "This has gone far enough. Those children need me laugh." I took a photo Priya had just sent me from the front lawn. A crisp white sign staked into the grass. Sold. I forwarded it to both of them. Vanessa called immediately. I answered this time. At first, there was only breathing. Then, "What the hell is that?" The lawn sign. "No, Walter, don't do that." "What the hell is that?" "It means I'm selling the house." "You can't sell our house." There it was again. That word. I kept my voice calm. "It was never our house. You are out of your mind." "No, I'm in a rental with excellent AC and no one billing dance tuition to my card." I could hear her pacing. A car door slammed in the background. One of the kids asked something I couldn't make out. "You did this because of a few charges?" I closed my eyes. "I did this because every major event in our relationship has been a test of how much disrespect I'd absorbed before I called it love." Wow. Yeah. I had that reaction too. Her voice cracked then, but not with remorse, with panic. Where are we supposed to go? That was the moment. The clean break in the fog. Not "I'm sorry." Not "I hurt you." Not "how do we fix this?" Where are we supposed to go? Translation, where is my infrastructure? I said the quiet part out loud. You should ask the people who treated me like a funding source. Stop acting like this was some scam. It was. It was a family. "No," I said. "It was a payment model." She inhaled sharply. "You're cruel." "No, I'm accurate." She hung up on me. For the next 2 weeks, chaos orbited at a distance. Vanessa sent paragraphs, then voice notes, then photos of the kids looking sad. Denise sent sermons about manhood, commitment, and abandoning children you promised to stand by. One of Vanessa's friends, a woman named Carla, who had once asked me if engineers made doctor money, messaged me to say I had traumatized a single mother. My attorney told me not to engage. So, I mostly didn't. The bank investigation came back in my favor on several of the charges, though not all. Enough to matter. Vanessa was furious. She accused me of trying to criminalize support. That line was so absurd, I almost admired it. Meanwhile, the buyer moved fast. Inspection waived, closing timeline accelerated. I signed the final stack of documents in a conference room that smelled like lemon polish and toner. When it was done, I walked to my truck feeling lighter than I had in years. Not happy exactly, just unhooked. A week later, Vanessa asked to meet in person. Against my better judgment, I agreed. Public place, coffee shop, midday. She arrived 20 minutes late in a beige trench coat like she was entering a courtroom drama. Her eyes were puffy. Her makeup was careful. She sat down across from me and didn't order anything. For a moment, neither of us spoke. Then she said, "I didn't think you'd actually do it." I stirred my coffee. I know. That house meant a lot to the kids. That house meant a lot to me. She looked away. I was under pressure. From whom? Everything. She waved a hand. Bills. School stuff. My mom. Being a single parent is not easy. You weren't single, she laughed bitterly. Wasn't I? I set my spoon down. No, you had me. You just resented needing me. That landed. I could tell, because she went still. After a long silence, she said, "I did love you." I believed she believed that, which somehow made it sadder. Maybe, I said, but not enough to leave room for my dignity. She swallowed hard. The kids keep asking where you are. I looked out the window at a bus stopping in front of the pharmacy across the street. An old man with a cane climbed down slowly while two teenagers waited without offering help. "Then tell them the truth," I said. Her voice sharpened. "What truth? That adults can confuse generosity with permission. That they can mistake patience for weakness. That sometimes the person carrying everyone finally puts the bags down." You make everything sound so cold. I met her eyes. "No, I make it sound finished," she cried then. Softly at first, then harder. People at nearby tables glanced over and pretended not to. 5 months earlier, that would have broken me. I would have apologized for upsetting her. I would have found a compromise. I would have offered money, storage, logistics, some version of rescue. Instead, I sat there and let the moment be what it was. Consequences. When she finally wiped her face, she whispered, "So that's it?" I nodded. That's it. She stood, unsteady with anger and humiliation. "You know what your problem is, Walter." I almost smiled. "I doubt this will be new information, but go ahead. You need to be the good guy so badly that the second someone disappoints you, you turn into this machine." I thought about that after she left. There was truth in it, not the insult, the shape of it. I had spent years trying to earn safety through usefulness, be steady enough, generous enough, calm enough, and maybe nobody would leave, criticize, or withhold affection. That strategy turned me into a machine long before I ended things. The difference was that now I belonged to myself. 3 months after the sale, I bought a townhouse closer to work. Smaller place, cleaner lines. No extra bedrooms waiting to be claimed by obligation. I painted the office dark green and built a drafting desk into the wall. On Saturdays, I learned how to make decent pasta sauce instead of living on takeout. I started sleeping through the night. My shoulders stopped living around my ears. Nate said I looked 10 years younger. My sister said I sounded like myself again. The most surprising part was how quickly guilt faded once I stopped feeding it. That had terrified me before. The idea that if I chose myself, I'd become selfish, hardened, unrecognizable. Instead, I became calm. One night in November, months after the coffee shop meeting, I got a message from Lily's father. I had met him twice. Quiet guy. Trucking logistics, I think. We were never close. The message read, "I heard some of what happened. I know you helped more than you had to. Thank you for being good to Lily when you didn't have to be." I read it twice. Then I put my phone down and sat in the quiet of my new living room, looking at the lamplight on the hardwood, and felt something settle in me. Not vindication, permission. Because that was always the deepest wound, wasn't it? Not the money. Not the first-class stunt. Not even the card charges. It was the way I had been taught, by culture, by fear, by my own need to be chosen, that love meant proving your worth through depletion. It doesn't. Love that requires self-erasure is not love. It is appetite with good branding. Sometimes I think back to Gate C19, to the smile on Vanessa's face when she said, "The trip's canceled, just for your kids, babe," and to the version of me who stood there trying to decipher whether humiliation could still count as intimacy if it came wrapped in a joke. I want to put a hand on that man's shoulder and tell him this. You are not difficult because you notice disrespect. You are not selfish because you object to being used. You are not failing children because you refuse to finance their mother's entitlement. And you are not cruel for finally protecting what is yours. I'm Walter. I'm an engineer. I build things meant to withstand stress. The irony is, for most of my life, I forgot to apply that principle to myself. Not anymore.